This review is going to be on the Vector Batwing. I purchased and put this on a 2008 Kawasaki Vulcan Nomad 1600. Changed the looks dramatically. Kind of gives it a Harley Davidson electric glide look. That wasn't the intentions, but it's kind of just how it shaped up. I'm pretty pleased with it. It's dirty right now, covered in bugs. I've been riding a little. It came with two windshields, one tinted, one clear. This one was supposed to be fitted and formed exactly for this bike. They had many different options setup wise. You could get with two 5 1/4 inch speakers, or you could get two 6-inch speakers, or you could get one that was cut out for one large 6x9 on each side. I went with the 4 5 1/4s. Put in a Boss Bluetooth marine grade head unit. The speakers were Rockville, they're marine grade. Plenty of room to put a triple bag. Fits really well. Pretty pleased with it. I've made this video once already, but it was flagged for copyright because I tried to play the music to show how loud it would go, so I'm going to do it this time with no music. But it is very loud, as loud as your standard car stereo. It's plenty for a motorcycle. I'm rolling Vance and Hines True Duals 3-inch tips. This is a 1600, so it's got a pretty good deep rumble to it. I'm running with the baffles in, but the packing out. I ran with no baffles, no packing, at as loud as it could be, and I could still hear music fine on the interstate at 70, 80 miles per hour. But with a baffle in with no packing, it's still pretty loud, but you can hear fine. It's very loud. No complaints on volume. The only reason I switched to this, I had MTX, the pods on there, the MTX Road Thunders, and they were great, loud, worked fine. But when I upgraded to these 12-inch meat hooks, they were fatter bars, and the pods no longer fix. Like here's an inch, here's an inch and a quarter. I couldn't put both pods here, obviously, so I had to come up with something else. I decided to go with the Vector. I'm glad I did. Now, it's not the cheapest route. There's other companies, TMNT or TN, something like that. But you only get the outer fairing, and it has really crappy brackets, real thin. I bought one for another bike, never could get it on. It was a waste of time and money for me, but this one here was supposed to be made for this bike. Comes with real heavy duty mounting brackets that mount 2 places on the fairing, 2 places on the bike. I had a few issues with this. I'll go over that in a second. For the most part, the fairing itself is great. It's very sturdy. You can turn the wheel with it. There's no play in it. Mounts very tight. No rattling, no anything like that. Now I put in my own power cutoff right here. Get a little closer. So I could just kill the bike whenever I want. I could bring the bike on whenever I want. I'm not going to play any music. I went with that route there because if you have a really loud stereo and say you're pulling straight off an interstate and go to a gas pump, you pull in and it's just jamming. Everybody's staring at you. Instead of reaching up, turning your dial, then turn your bike off and go to your gas, I can just reach up, one click, shut the whole thing down, roll in nice and quiet. Also, this route here kills all power for when I have the bike sitting. So the remote wire isn't pulling on my battery while it's here, even though I keep it on an SAE battery tender whenever I'm not riding the bike. I still didn't want that pulling for if I go motorcycle camping or a long trip and then I got to let it set a day or two. I didn't want this remote pulling on the battery. It may not pull it down all the way, but I've had a lot of battery issues in the past, and I do everything I can to avoid them now. The switch was a good thing. It worked out nice. I kind of maybe would put it down a little lower if I had it to do over again. It doesn't look bad or anything like that, but I may would try to hide that switch, but it's easier to get to now riding down the road or even interstate if I needed to or what have you. Let's see. All right, let's go over a few of the bad. It was pretty expensive. I think it was $279 plus tax plus standard $60 shipping. So by the time it was all done and sent, I think it was $380, $390. I can't remember exactly. It was right at $400 just for the fairing. And they have setups where you can buy it to where it comes ready to go, and it'll have. It seemed like they're pretty heavy into the Rockford Fosgate. All the sets I seen were Rockford Fosgate. But anyway, they had some that had full-size decks. They had some that just little tiny Bluetooth, small like square deck that would go in there. Then your Rockville speakers, and those got up to right around $1,000. And I figured I could buy this, set it up, choose whatever I wanted, and probably come out a little bit better. Now I didn't go Rockford Fosgate, obviously, but with this setup here, plenty loud. I can hear it. It didn't break the bank. After everything was done with this, shipping, the unit, the speakers, all the wiring I needed, the extra parts I needed for the brace, everything, I'm sitting at about $800. So I mean, I didn't save a lot, but I did save around $200 doing it myself. Works fine for me. Now I have the option down the road. I could pull this out, swap it, put in a better unit if I want, or whatever need be, but cross that bridge when I get there. As of right now, works fine. Other than price, I wasn't real happy with this here. If you can see without me shaking, the inner fairing sets way back and it doesn't match up to the outside of the outer fairing. Now if you look at a Harley, it fills in a little bit more, but there's also a mirror here, not a speaker. So the mirror is kind of beveled out and it rounds it up and it fits in good, makes it nice and flush. Well, with this one here, I use the door trim you would normally put on your truck or car to keep from banging up against walls or whatever. It fit on there great, tied in nice, gave it a nice look, ate up some of this gap here. Now I could go back and paint this little bit of raw fiberglass on the inside and then nobody would ever notice. No one has anyway, because hundreds of people have looked at it. No one's ever pointed that out. Little small things like that. Now when it comes to this one is for this bike. It was for the 08 Vulcan Nomad 1600. So you think it would go straight on, no problems, designed for it. Now the holes were in the right place, but what I had was, before I had the windshield and they mounted right up. The bolts are about this long because all I had to do was go through a 1/4-inch bracket right into the fork. The fork has a built-in bracket here. When I put this one on, it would not fit. And you can see there's a 3/8 inch gap in between the mounting plate and the mounting plate for the fork. So I bought four 3/8 inch thick nuts, used them as spacers, and then I had to buy longer bolts because of the gap. So I had to buy 1.25 inch bolts at 8mm coarse thread. Could have went 1 inch. I just wanted to make sure I had enough, but you see a little extra there. But doing that, got it to lock in. Everything's nice, tight, centered. But I think if it was designed exactly for this bike, it should have fit perfect. And for the money, $400, I think it should have fit a little better than this right here. Other than that, I love it. It's great. The fiberglass is high quality fiberglass. Everything seemed to be well built with it, other than not exactly fitting right and not an exact fit here. And it is on both sides. But with this stuff here, this guard kind of tied it in, made it look fairly decent. Changed the looks a lot. I've added some other things with this bike. This model comes with hard trunk. I bought this trunk, customized it, made it fit myself. That was a nightmare. I can make a video if you'd like, and showing you what all I had to do to make this trunk work. Not the easiest job in the world, but glad I did it because this extra storage is awesome. I use it way more than I ever thought I would, and it makes for a better seat here for your passenger. Now, the way that I set it up, your regular bikes, your back would stop about here and doesn't give you a whole lot of room. You got about 12 inches from my back plate or my backrest to their backrest, and so what I did was extended back, made my own brackets, put it in, and now I got about 16 inches here to where I can lock in duffel bags or put somebody in there and they can sit comfortably. It worked out better for my situation, but also puts the trunk further back on the bike and kind of levels it out a little bit better, in my opinion. But I've also done a lot of things to the inside of this. I custom carpeted it. I put a power supply in here for phones and laptops and whatever you need to charge as you're going down the road. But that'll be another video if need be. The Vector batwing, I would recommend it. If you're getting one, you will like it when it's done. But for me, maybe it won't be for you, but if you get you one, maybe for whatever model you're putting on, maybe it'll go right on. I don't know. But with my situation, it wasn't a 10-minute job. I had to do some work to it and play around. And also, I had to work on this, but they do put that in the description. So this hole here was already pre-cut, but it was not the right size. And I tried 2 different radios to fit in there. They would not fit, so I had to take a roto zip, clean the hole up a little bit, make it a little larger, went in, no problem. The speakers fit, no problem. I had to do nothing to those. But it was pre-cut with the large square. So if you bought this one, you have to kind of go with this style. You wouldn't be able to put the little tiny one in there unless you had something to fill those holes. But as for looks, big time difference. One thing I did have to adjust to is my windshield came to about here, and now I'm down to here, so I am getting a little more wind. But the trade for the looks is an easy trade for me. The Vector batwing, this is on the 2008 Kawasaki Vulcan Nomad 1600. I'd play the music for you, but copyright. It is very loud. Now, I wouldn't consider putting something like that on my Harley. I enjoy the more raw look. I don't do saddlebags or swing arm bags. I don't even have a fork bag. If I use this, if I ride this and I need to carry something or pick something up, I'll just take a backpack with me. This one here is my mule. It takes everything. Load up my camping gear, my duffel bag, put some camping supplies inside of here, my phones, extra clothes. My other bag is I use for my tool bag, but or about a saddle bag. I put my tools in there. Pretty cool setup. Worth the money if you're willing to take the time to get it on there.